This is the 20th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, Spro, Gamakatsu, Big Bite Baits, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Recorded show today. I'm currently in Sunshine State, Florida, practicing for the first Bassmaster Open of the 2024 season on famed Lake Okeechobee. Giant bowl, lots of grass, Toyota Series also there. We're talking 15 straight days with 200 plus competitors on the water between the Toyota Series and the Bassmaster Open. And every year, this will be my fifth year fishing the Bassmaster Opens, fourth year fishing every single one of the Bassmaster Opens. We get rid of the guys who kicked our ass the previous year and we say, this is the year. This is the year that it's the top nine. We got rid of these guys who have no business in the Opens because they're either professionals or they're 20 years old and are wizard with electronics. And then we have this year where it's probably the toughest year ever. And one of those reasons is a longtime pro. I think he's been doing this about 2 decades. And that is our guest today, which is Alabama's Russ Lane. Oh, you got to go horizontal with your phone, man. You switched it up on me, Russ.
I did because my head looks so small the other way.
But
now
we always do.
Now my hands look so big.
Can you put it horizontal?
Yeah.
Or do you want to go vertical?
I could care less. Where do you want
it? Okay, go horizontal. I'm a little OCD when it comes to that.
All right.
Well, there we go. Beautiful. That works.
Let me prop this up.
Frame it up just a little bit. I don't know if we still have the him sponsorship, but yeah, there we go. We're working better. Okay, I mentioned this before the show when I saw our little layout. Very reminiscent of FDR's fireside chats. There he is, right there.
Well,
see the fireside chat right there.
Well, there's a reason for that, because I'm probably going to be running for mayor next term in Prattville. And so I might as well go ahead and announce that today.
Prattville mayor. There was a mayor that fished. There wasn't there a mayor that fished as a co-angler, either in Bass or FLW. I think FLW long time. There was a mayor of a city who fished like hundreds of events as a co-angler. He was like legendary. I remember anytime I would watch the old FLW weigh-ins, they would always introduce him as the mayor. And that was his thing. He would take time from managing the city.
Well, if they're like most fishermen, that city's probably broke now. So
I'm sure he did a decent job. And then wasn't Jeremy Lawyer like a mayor of his city, or did he just like run the city or something? Was it Sarcoxy? I think I had him on the show and he was like the mayor of Sarcoxy, or he was like the head honcho of that.
Do you think he was more like the Tony Soprano of Sarcoxy?
Really? I would hate to be any sort of 4-legged creature in the wild around the Sarcoxy area. You are in danger with Jeremy Lawyer in town.
Yes. He will hunt you down.
How you been, dude? It's been a while.
Good. I've been awesome, man. It's I've enjoyed the break this year. I usually completely take off and just hunt the whole break. But I've probably hunted 25% of the time and fished the rest of the time. So, trying to get better and embrace, the trend with the live scoping and the suspended fish and all that stuff. So that's what I've been working on. I've actually enjoyed it a lot. I'm not sure how it'll play out this year with that, but I feel like it, at least, spending that time over the break, it's been it's added a little something to my arsenal.
You've been doing this 20 years. is the last 2 years the biggest and most rapid change you've ever seen in the industry when it comes to performance on the water and how guys are catching them?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So like the way it used to be, there would be something, whether, I mean, it could even be a bait, or it could be like when side imaging first hit, there would be something that someone would get a little momentum with, and they would carry it for about 3 tournaments. And sometimes it just played out where it worked, or it could be related to make something work at 3 different bodies of water. And, we called that the curve. Well, by then the rest of the field would catch up, and then it would cancel that out. Well, now it seems like there is no curve. It's all just finding these fish that nobody's looking for at every event. And seems like the best way to do that is, if you can't make a 150-mile run somewhere to get away from people, it's those fish that are out in the middle swimming around like in an aquarium. So there is no curve anymore. It doesn't seem like.
Do you feel cheated as a veteran who's been through it, who's done the ringer, who should be going to all these things with a plethora of information in your mind that gives you an advantage, that you're like, what the hell now? Because you get there and it's a totally different ball game.
Well, I mean, you can feel like that, but it's all mental. It's all a mindset, and you choose your own mindset. So if you choose to embrace it, then it's a good thing. And if you don't choose to embrace it, then you're going to get mired down in negativity, and you're going to be on social media talking about ban live scope, do away with it. And I'm not into all that negative stuff. I just want to keep getting better. It doesn't matter that I'm 51 now. Why not just keep trying to get better every year? I mean, the field, everybody, the weekend anglers are insane. The weekend anglers now are about as good, in my opinion, as the pros, because they get after it and they work hard, and they've embraced, this change. So the only thing that makes it hard for me, doing it 20, 21 years, is you get those things creep into your mind, like, oh, the water's got a little dinge and the wind's blowing this direction. I know exactly what to do over here shallow. But you got to fight those demons and push that away and stick to whatever it is you're doing. And if you don't have enough experience with the live scoping deal to call on it, you just got to stick with it. And I hope y'all know what I mean by that. But I know some of the older veterans know exactly what I'm talking about.
So is that time on the water by yourself? Is that watching YouTube videos? Is that jumping in the boat with someone who's better than you and has it dialed in, and you say, teach me? How have you gotten confidence in that going into this year, or last year, or the year before, as soon as it started to blow up?
I've always spent some time in the boat with Dustin Connell.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, and we kind of learned some of that together, a few years back. And then Michael Neal, was one of my roommates. I mean, that's two of the
another best. Good one.
Yeah, that's two of the best there is at it. But actually, they told me things that they learned 4 or 5 years ago, and that's on me because I chose not to pay attention to it, because like, I'm this old veteran, and I preach, when people ask me questions, I preach, do what you do, like, and don't listen to the outside stuff. Well, at some point though, I've had to realize, maybe it's time to embrace that a little bit more. What's crazy is, all right, when Panoptics came out, I don't know how we got on this subject, but that's where we're at. When Panoptics came out, there was about 5 guys that had it before anybody. Who
was it? Can you name who it was?
I was one of them.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes. I was one of them. So, and I saw then, like, this will change fishing, no doubt. And I used it. And if you go back and look at some of the like the first and second year on the BPT, I think maybe the last year that we were all at the elites, I had several high finishes or big days where I talked about it, how big of an advantage it was to have that. But then after a little while, a couple of years later, everybody has the basic Panoptics. And I can remember some of the guys that are incredible about it with it now, like Jordan Lee. I remember Jordan Lee asking me at a gas station back then. He said, "Man, is that Panoptic stuff legit?" And I don't remember exactly what I told him, but I know I told him that's going to change everything. Well, now there's how many tournaments has he won since then using forward-facing sonar? But that's on me for not embracing it more the last several years, but now I have, and I'm glad I've spent time doing it.
Did you in 2011 when Elias won on the A-Rig, which was I would say like the last side, like Chatterbait was big too, but Elias with the A-Rig was like the last kind of mind-blowing thing that took over social media. That was back when it just was starting and took over, like BTL. We had a deal where we weren't even allowed to say, we would call it the rig we did not talk about because we just got so tired of talking about it. Were you like an early adopter of that? Did you have it beforehand, or did you know anything about that before it hit the market?
All right, dude, it's so funny you asked that. I don't know if you even know, but I finished third in that tournament. So, and me and Paul were rooming together. This is to me, this is the greatest story ever. So we're rooming together because we had a mutual friend that owned a house up there. Well, I was getting like just a handful of bites on a jerkbait on the south end around the causeways back then. And I thought the fishing was horrible. Everybody you talked to thought there was a fish kill. Like it was just gloom and doom. Well, Paul, like, I could tell he wanted to tell me something, but we didn't have any agreement or anything to share info or anything. I had no idea that is what he was doing. Well, the first day, I had, I think 17 pounds the first day, 17 or 18. And I remember I got 6 bites all day. Well, I get in, I was like, and Paul has 26 or 7, and I'm in the top 6, maybe 6 or 7. And Paul's like smiling. He's like, "Man, I got a bait." I was like, "Awesome, man. There it is. There's that big old thing." All right. So like this may get long. All right, bear with me.
No, I don't care. It could be an hour long. I'm all in on it at this point.
Okay. So, all right, another day goes by. All right, this is where the story gets awesome. All right, second day. It's maybe an hour left in the day, and I've got 4 fish. All right. I'm going around the Spring Creek Causeway with a Spro jerkbait, and I'm like just begging for a fish. Well, I remember back then you would know there was probably some fish around just by looking at your 2D sonar, and you could see bait and fish. You didn't know what they were or anything. So I'm like throwing on this corner. It's got wind and a little current on it, jerking it, pause it, trying everything. Nothing. Well, I look up and Paul's coming around the corner and he doesn't have a rod in his hand on his trolling motor. And he comes over there and he said, "You got him?" And I was like, "Man, I only got 4. I said, "You got him?" He's like, "Yeah." He said, "I quit fishing after the first 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and you're fishing this kind of stuff? He said, "Yeah." He looks down, he shakes his head. This is why Paul's one of my favorite pros of all time. He looks down, he shakes his head. He said, "Man, I'm probably going to regret this." He said, "But hold on." He leans over and he picks up that thing you just showed on camera. And it was these, whatever, 5.5-inch Shadowlicious on there. And they all had like 1/2-ounce heads. He borrowed the heads from me, by the way. It was Buckeye heads. And he handed me his rod. That's it right there. That's probably the exact rig I'm talking about. So he handed me his rod. He said, just throw it right there to the corner of the rip wrap. And I was like, what? Like, what is this? I was like, how do you even throw it? He said, just lob it. So I threw it out there, and now I've been throwing a Spro jerkbait in the same place for like 15 minutes, exact same cast, trying to get a bite. I throw this thing, let it go down, I don't know, for, a second or two, and I turn the handle, and oh my gosh, one might rips a rod out of my hand, and it's a 6-pounder. And I lay it in the boat, and that's number 5. And I was like, I'm in shock. I'm in disbelief. And he's like smiling. He said, all right, give me my rod back. So I give him the rod back, and, I don't catch anything else. So we'll get in that night. And of course I make the cut, and I move up a little bit, and he gives me a rig, and then we figure out how to get some more, and, the rest is history. But it was crazy that he did that. But the point of the story is the next day I went back to an area that was just like a hump in this pocket where I was getting 4, 5, 6 bites a day on a jerkbait. If I had had live scope to have seen what was there, it would have been incredible what I would have caught, because I took that Alabama rig back to that same place, and me and my co-angler in the first 30 minutes caught them every single cast, and both of us had like 22 to 20. I think I had 24 and he had 22.
24.05. He went 17, 17.3, 12.13, 19.15, and 24.
Yes. So I would have been able to see those fish with the live scope then on that jerkbait place. But of course the A-rig, exposed it. But that's the power of it.
If we're talking about that, then if Paul had it, how did everyone end up with one by the last day or by the third day? Because you see a ton of these weights that go like 11, 18, 21, 19, 24, like every day, one on the last day, 23, 20, 24, 24, 22. Apparently Troy Morrow didn't get it. He only had 3 for 11 on the last day. Someone left him out of the damn loop. 18, 16, 19. Like how, you were there. How did it spread through the field so fast, a bait that no one had or had heard of? Everyone was throwing 24 hours later on the final day.
All right. There was 2 things that happened that night. So word got out that night of the second day. And, there were some pictures posted on the FLW website. And, that stuff can affect things. Well, there was 2 things that they did. They found there was a tackle store in Athens, which is about an hour and a half away, that had them. And that's where the Andy, what was his name? Gosh, wish I could think of his name. The guy that invented it or whatever. That's where he had them all at.
Poss,
that's right. Andy Poss. So that's where he had his stock at. Well, all the pros sent all their co-anglers over there. That tackle store is over there by Lake Wheeler, and they all drove over there to get them, and they sold out and brought them all back to Gunnersville. So then half the field had them. There was even some guys that made them. They went to Walmart and bought egg beaters, wire egg beaters, and made them and caught fish on them. And I remember the next week there was I think it was an Everstart back then on Kentucky Lake, and I remember hearing that a bunch of people were making them out of wire egg beaters. So until everybody could. Till the companies could start knocking it off and getting stock out there. But I remember that's how
wild. They're posting this on like the morning of day 3. So not only is they're showing the bait, they're showing where he's doing it and how he's doing it.
Yes.
And back then there was no Instagram. There wasn't really anything, but this was on the FLW website.
Yeah. What year was that?
2011, October of 2011.
Yeah. Cause I think I started a Facebook page in 2010. So it was like very early social media. Yep.
Elias runs away. I'm curious to see what they said in the article. Caught a massive limit to what? So on day 2, he says, I guess the word's out on what I'm doing. I'm throwing an Alabama rig. It's a new type of rig that some guy from around Pickwick came up with. It's just an amazing deal. It consists of a hard body that trails 4 or 5 wires that have a swivel attached to the end of each wire. Fishermen then tie various baits, swim baits, grubs, or a variety of other artificials to the swivel. The bait fans out and mimics the school. It's some kind of like a crankbait sometimes. You can't always catch them unless you're doing it right. I'd be interested to see what he says on day 1, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would too.
Oh, so day 1, look at this. This is day 1 of a 4-dayer, $100,000 tournament, and the title is Alabama Romp Unveils Alabama Rig.
Oh, wow. See, and I didn't even look at that. Like, I didn't even know going into the second day because I would have found one,
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
As a noted structure fisherman, Elias has a special connection with Lake Gunnersville, but this week he discovered a new technique to ignite his plentiful yet largely dominant population of bass. In doing so, this is a recap. Never mind. Sorry. I thought it was day 1. Let me see if there is a day 1 article. This is all day. It's kind of jumbled just because it's so old. We did have the day 2 article though. I don't know what the day 1. I'll have to go back and find that. That's the stand-ins right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you finished 3rd in that one.
What was my final weight? 24.5?
24.5.
Okay, and day 3 was 19. So I had 20 in my co. I had 20. Oh yeah, day 4 was the day that we caught so many. That's right. It was crazy how many me and my co-angler caught. It didn't matter. And it didn't matter where he threw either. He didn't even have to throw where I was throwing.
Well, because you guys didn't have forward-facing sonar, so you didn't know that in the fall those fish were suspended out over the middle of nowhere chasing bait.
Yep. I would love to know what it looked like on forward-facing sonar those days. I bet it was insane.
Because every single fish that was getting pestered on any of the obvious stuff, I mean, around browns, around any of that stuff would all have been clustered out where no one was jacking with them. Yeah,
that's right. Mm-hmm. Yep. And now,
now it's good now. Gunners was kicking them out again. I just had Jimmy Mason on Guide Day, and he said it's as good as it's ever been right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he knows. Jimmy is actually, because back when he was fishing the elites, me and him and Timmy Horton and Scroggins, we traveled together a lot. So, been friends with Jimmy a long time. And Jimmy's actually the first one that told me about that Alabama rig. And he had got them from Andy Pawson, was using them on guide trips and stuff, on the Tennessee River and telling me about all the fish he was catching. And I can remember, just like I was saying, when Michael and Dustin were, telling me about the things they were figuring out, I was like, halfway paying attention. I halfway paid attention to Jimmy. I wish I would have paid more attention because I would have caught. I might would have won that tournament.
I'm trying to look at this. So the first time I had ever heard it or saw about it was 2009. Yep. Would have been 2010.
Yeah.
I'm on Skeet Reese's bass profile right here. And it was the postseason tournament in Alabama. Is that the one where you had the rod jerked out of your hand?
Yep. That
was a good time.
Jordan Dam.
Just fishing, one bites it, whoop, there it goes. And you just stood there and were like, well, that sucks.
Yep. It was like 101 degrees that day. And that was back, let's see, I was using those, what was that? American Rod Smith, David Fritz cranking rod. And it had that cork handle, and that cork was all sweaty and slick. And that big old spot got it and was going. He was hooked, barely in the corner of the mouth, just one hook. Because I was hung. The deal was there was a log that was hung up on that deal, or I think that's what it was, because I had broke some limbs off of it before. Well, I hit that log and my bait was hung up, and I was popping it off, and I think that fish took it off the log, so he was barely hooked in the corner of the mouth. Well, I seen that, so I'm running to the back, and then the fish turns and goes the other way. And when he did, like my wrist is turned over and it just slipped out like it wasn't nothing. I thought I blew the tournament then, but luckily.
Could you imagine how many views you'd have right now if you had that sucker?
Ooh,
you'd be able to read. So it was the year before then. So that was 2010 for you. So 2009, I think Skeet had it, and we're in the boatyard, and he's putting this monstrosity away. And I said, "The hell is that?" And he's like, nothing. And he put it in his rock. It was the postseason event. He was throwing it down there in Alabama. You guys did it in 2009 and 2010. Yeah,
that's right. Wow, I didn't even know he was throwing.
That was 2 years before.
Mm-hmm.
And you were able to keep stuff quiet back then. It wasn't like, now you're 15 minutes into a day with the camera and everything's done.
See, that right there shows what I was talking about, that 3 or 4 tournament curve momentum deal you used to have, but you don't have that anymore because now there's so much coverage that a guy can watch a tournament go down and he's basically an expert without ever even doing something, because he can see it all go down. And people are smarter now. They know what they're looking at, and they can go repeat it immediately. So,
to put a bow on the Alabama rig talk, have you ever seen in your time a bait that the fish became so conditioned to so quickly than the Alabama rig?
Man, no. Yeah, they got off of it quick. I remember we had like emergency meetings with the anglers and stuff at Bass, and there was a bunch of guys that wanted to ban it. And I didn't care one way or the other really, but I just wanted to see I wanted to see the evolution of it. Let's just see where it takes us, because we've done seen a buzz bait, get, turn into, not what it began with, like the Sluggo. There was a craze over the Sluggo it was so good when it come out, and they just kind of got off of that. Like, I just wondered, would they do the same with the Alabama rig? And they did.
I mean, still won on it. A lot of the tournaments are still won on it to this day. But I remember fishing the Nichols Marine in Oklahoma, and there was a couple, like the first 2 winners, that early 12 and then 13. Obviously, you had Billy Lemon caught like a 12-12 on it. And then
I remember that.
You would come in with 22.5 to 23 pounds and feel like King Kong with a 7. Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't weigh your big fish, and you'd be in 20th when you weighed in. And you'd, 250 boats, and it's just, you didn't even rig anything else. You just spent an hour rigging Alabama rigs. And now, it's still probably the primary bait, but it does not. It's just, I don't know it's weird how those fish, you think that's a vibration, a feel, a visual thing? Are we catching that many fish? Like, how the hell do they know? Why is it not as effective as it used to be? You could do that with any bait too.
Man. I don't know, man. I don't think we understand those senses, as well as we think we do. Now, being able to see how fish react on forward-facing sonar tells us a lot more. Like I've thrown an Alabama rig, here at home, like on Lake Jordan, going out this winter, and I've seen days where if I see some fish that are down, maybe 20 foot deep, and we're talking about the Coosa River. We're not talking about gin clear water. I've seen where that Alabama rig hits the water 30 feet behind them, and they're 20 feet deep, and they haul ass immediately. And then I've seen days where they would shoot up to like, they were going to get it, and they just peel off. So I don't know, but they know, they sense something for sure.
So get this. I had the OBT deal that we do on Table Rock the week after the Toyota Championship. And we're out there for days, and it's Tamiki rigging over 100 feet of water, scoping them, that type of thing. I'm casting a 1/8 ounce, 3-inch, it just goes bloop when it lands. And, I'm wanting to catch him. So I called some of my buddies who did good there, and they're like, dude, you cannot cast to him. He's like, they're petrified. And I'm like, what? Yep. And they're like, they're petrified. You have to cast like 40 foot past him and then keep the bait above. I'm like, oh, whatever. So I get out there, and I see them, and you know what it is. It's a 2.5 pound spotted bass or a 3 pound smallmouth that's 7 foot down over 100 foot of water. You make a 40-foot cast, and that 1/8 ounce goes bloop, and they literally go shoom, and they're gone. And you're like, there's a chop on the water, for God's sake. How do you even know that thing? You cast that thing 30 foot past them, reel it to them, and they still eat it. It's the weirdest thing ever. Now get this on the jerkbait. And I know you throw them stick a lot and stuff, but right now I think we're going through a phase where these suckers are recognizing the vibration or the sound in Megabass 110s, in plus ones, in mixed sticks, in whatever jerkbait it is, because you can put a jerkbait on one. It'll either follow it won't eat it. You can pick up a different brand of jerkbait or a silent jerkbait, and they'll attack it like a piranha. That's like indefutable evidence that there's something they're relating to. But then there's a billion fish out there. There's no way they've all been caught. Were they having like a damn powwow down there going, hey, when you hear like that's not good? Like, how does that work?
I don't know, dude. When you figure it out, tell me. But
does that not keep you up at night too?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know that if just say I throw a Megabass 110 and it hits the surface and I jerk it down a couple of times and that fish comes up, looks at it and peels off, he doesn't say, that's that Megabass 110 again. And them hooks are sharp. I'm not messing with it. He don't say that. Like, but he knows something's not right. Here's what I remember thinking a while back. I try to relate fishing to hunting. So just say like you're sitting on a green field and there's a few deer in the green field and you hear a deer coming. All right. You hear his footsteps, say the leaves are dry and it's loud. Like, it's not a person, because there's nobody around. So it's a deer coming. And those deer don't even look up and pay attention. But if I'm walking to the green field and I know they can't see me, they know my footsteps sound is different than the deer's footsteps sounds, and they haul butt. They're gone. They don't even have to see me. They take off. So they know those sounds 100% because I see that in deer hunting a lot. Like I know that a deer on a green field sometimes knows the difference in the sound of a hog or a coyote or a deer because I've seen it so much, how they react. So I think fish are capable of distinguishing those sounds too.
And don't even get me started on what they think or feel when they have a 360 running, 2 live scope transducers, a through hull transducer, and a down deucer on the trolling motor. Like I'm still trying to figure out, and I think I know a lot of guys are. You have some guys that swear when you're scoping, you need to turn off all your electronics, and if you see them with the beam, get the hell out and don't peg them with the other guys who are like, it doesn't matter, and you can get right on them. But it does seem like those fish are reacting to the beam now, which I had never seen in the past. Last fall was the first time that when you'd hit them with it, they would move. Before it was like, like you had night vision and you could be like, haha, gotcha. Now it's like 40 foot that way, and then you get the hell out of there and make your cast, and then you fish on feel. Are you with me on that too?
Yeah, for sure. Here's another cool thing, like that tells me that I know that they recognize that signal going to them. The spotted bass are curious when you hit them with that beam, like when you see one, you're panning, you see one, and you can tell, all right, he's going this way. He's going this way. Well, you catch him in that beam and he was going that way. And then all of a sudden you keep the beam going and you lose him. And then you come back and you hit him and he's swimming towards you. He's curious. He's coming to that transducer. I have seen thousands of spotted bass swim towards my transducer. And I mean, get 10 foot under the transducer. And now you can't catch them. I can't catch them. I bet I can count on one hand of the ones that I've caught that got under me and sit there under that transducer. But they hear it, they feel it. The spots happen to be curious and come to it.
When was the last time you were on Hartwell?
The last classic I fished.
Oh my God, dude! Wait till we go there this fall. You want to
Oh,
see,
okay.
like fish that
Mhm.
behave. I mean, those things have been like in a microwave for the last 3 years with live scope beams.
I bet.
They do some weird stuff when you hit them. Some really weird stuff. It's actually kind of fascinating because you can actually sit there on schools of Obed try and you could tell eventually you could get to the point where you're like not even going to cast to certain ones based on when you hit them, how they react.
For sure. Yeah.
But they know what the hell's up. Like it's like a cat and mouse game. Like I'm sitting there fishing thinking, okay, these fish know that I'm up here with a drop shot and I've got live scope and now it's on, baby.
Yeah.
Which they don't have, they're not like conscious thought beings.
No. But they react. They react differently to, to different, I don't know, different sounds and stuff. I mean, they know.
All right, we're gonna take our first break of the show. When we come back, more with Russ Lane. We'll actually get into the Bassmaster Opens.
Yes.
2024 Bassmaster Opens. BTL. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Any fish, any water.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Taiwan Strike King.
I'm the kind of guy that never leaves the house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for everyday carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips, so if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
All right, we are back. BTO with Russ Lane. I don't know if you saw that last commercial, but Michael Neal with a pocket knife is somewhat threatening.
Dangerous. Mikey will cut you if you cross him.
He told me, and I don't know if this stands true, but if I ever am passing through the county that he lives in Tennessee, just based on some stuff that's, good-hearted, good-natured stuff, that I would spend the night in jail.
Yeah. And he could arrange that because Pops is the sheriff,
That's what I said. So I've taken alternate routes around Chickamauga and have been glad that it has not been on the Bassmaster Open schedule for the last 2 years, strictly because of that. He doesn't seem like a man of empty promises.
Well, you probably deserve to spend a little time in jail for Mikey for some of the jokes that me and you have played on him. We won't talk about those, but
bar none, just because of his personality, low key and understated. You look at Michael Neal's body of work, though. Top five angler in the world, in my opinion, and by far the most underrated angler in the world, taking over the mantle that Todd Faircloth held for a number of years. They said you roomed with him, you know him well. Do you agree with that? And what do you think makes Michael Neal so good often?
Well, there's a number of things. Like Michael is first off, he's extremely smart. Like probably one of the smartest people I've ever been around in my life. And he's very, very even keel. He never gets, too hyped up or too negative. Like he's just like, if I had a son, I know this sounds weird. If I had a son like that, I would want him to be like Michael. He's just like a good dude. And he understands things, on the water that he sees. He always seems to know how things are going to develop over the course of a few days, and just, I don't know. And he's very, very, simple in his approach. Like Michael knows what his strengths are. His strengths are offshore fishing, forward facing sonar. And when it's time to throw the towel in on that, Michael will beat you like a drum with a swimming jig and a chatterbait around the bank. And he does not flip. He refuses to flip. And, his philosophy when he goes to the bank is cover more water than anybody and be efficient. And he's just as strong around the bank as he is offshore. A lot of people don't realize that, but he is. I don't think, just say like going to Okeechobee, I don't know that Michael's ever finished out of the top 10 at Okeechobee. He didn't do it with forward-facing sonar.
Did I read in there that you also, so it was you, Michael, and Andy Morgan?
Yeah.
So wait, you roomed with the guy who refused to flip, and then you roomed with the guy who's a top 5 flipper in the world.
Yes. Yeah. All three of us are the total opposites of each other fishing wise. Like I'm like the guy that I'm not great at anything, but I'll try everything. Michael is stuck in, what he does. And Andy is like stubborn as a mule with what he does. And both of them make it work at, an ungodly high level. And I've been able to survive for 20 years the way I do it. So, I mean, I'm going to miss those guys. I learned so much from them, and too, just hanging out with them. We all became best friends, and man, we had a good time the last 5 years.
All right. You did a takeover for Best on Tour, which if you guys haven't subscribed to Best on Tour, go to bestontour.net. It is a free newsletter that goes to your inbox once a week. They don't spam you. They don't send you a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. It's literally just an inside industry newsletter. My title sponsor for the Opens for the last 3 years will be back this year as well for the Opens. And one of the new features that they're doing is a takeover for an angler for each of the, I think he's doing 8 or 10 of them or something throughout the entire year. You took over the last issue, which is, you did a very good job on. You spent some time on it. Actually, Dave called and he's like, dang, Russ knocked that out of the park. But you could sign up for it. You can also go to bestontour.net to look at it. But one of the features in there was open state of mind, where you really talk about basically kind of your decision in your mind to go back to the Bassmaster Opens. If I was in your position, that would terrify me, Russ.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what everybody says. Like I know there's a lot of people that think I'm crazy or lost my mind to step away from Major League Fishing to go to the Opens. But I mean, I've been doing this now for, like I said, for 21 years. And I had great times, like running the BPT tour with Michael and Andy, working with some of those guys, as I was on boards, over there the whole time, trying to help steer everything to make it successful. And it just, I don't know, the last 2 or 3 years, it just wasn't fun anymore. I never got real comfortable with the every fish counts format. And the reason is because it's hard. Like it's definitely the most challenging in my opinion. I'm not saying five fish is not hard. It's just my makeup is probably more suited for five fish. And I'm not even saying that I'm going to do better fishing five fish but it's more comfortable for me. And I mean, if I want a job where I'm uncomfortable, I can do something else. So I chose to fish years ago because I enjoy it and I enjoy competing and I want to have fun, while trying to, do good for the companies that I work with and educating people on, what I've learned doing this over the years. So, that's pretty much the basics of it, of why I'm doing it. So, I could fall on my face and not do any good this year or the next year. And, companies may have to make a decision or maybe they don't, maybe I go out and kill it. We'll see. I mean, it's still just fishing. And I feel good about the open schedule. I think I have to be conscious of making sure you catch limits, because I've gotten used to fishing against 40 guys.
I thought that too, Russ. I thought that too last year. So I caught a limit every single day.
And it didn't matter.
I caught a limit that weighed 12.007 pounds every single day of the opens.
That was your average?
That was my average weight every single day.
And where'd you finish in the points?
I didn't go to the last one because I had zero chance. I was so far out of it. Going into the final event, catching a limit every single day, averaging a 2.5 pound fish every single day, I was in 40th with statistically zero chance of finishing in the top 10 going into the last event. And that blew my mind. If someone had told me that before based on the averages and what I had done, I'd have been like, dude, I'm going to have a shot in this thing. Yeah. Sign me up for that. I'll take it.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It shocked me.
Yeah. People can forget calling the opens or even the Toyotas can forget calling them. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say it's a minor league tour, but they're strong. I fished the Toyotas a few years ago, fished 4 of them, and I caught the crap out of them. And let's see, I caught them really good. And I think I finished like 14th in the points. And I would have thought as good as I caught them, I would have been at least in the upper part of the top 10. So I know, man, like we were saying a while ago, like everybody's good these days. There's 1,000 kids that are just as good as me or you or anybody else.
Definitely as good as me.
Well, me too, man. Me too. No.
Well, you have 5 top 10s in Bassmaster Opens, but the last top 10 you had there was in 2015. Are you worried at all about the adjustment with the field size, with the co-angler again? I know, and talking was kind of setting this interview up. You were like, man, it's a little bit different with a co-angler and 230 boats as opposed to 40 boats and no co-angler.
Yeah, that's right. We're just, like I said, if it becomes stressful to me on the water, with all the boats and a co-angler, I'm just going to remind myself, it's about fun. So we're going to enjoy it. We're going to have fun and we're going to fish hard. And I like if you're watching this and you wind up being one of my co-anglers, just know that we're going to work together that day and we're going to go out and we're going to do everything we can for both of us to have the best day we possibly can. And we just have to be patient, especially like in Florida. You know how Florida is. It's notorious to go down in the last hour. Hey, it's just, we're going to have fun and we're going to be patient and we're going to work together and that's it. And I'm not going to worry about all the outside pressures. I'll worry about that when I get home after the event. Cool thing is though, man, like I'm so fortunate that I called every single one of my companies and some of them had even been encouraging me to go ahead and leave just because they just have a that's just their opinion. They would rather see me, at Bass. And I mean, I get it. And they've all stuck with me, and nobody has said, well, we'll give you 2 years or 3 years. Like, they were all like happy for me to go. So, I mean, I don't feel pressure as far as that goes. As long as I can keep contributing, value to them, and, in ways, and be creative, like the thing that I did with the Bass on Tour the other day. That was good. Doing stuff with you, that takes the pressure off too.
All right, we got to talk about YouTube though, because I know you had a section. Yeah, you had a section in there about YouTube, but we're only working with 170 subscribers right now. So I need everyone listening to this to go to Russ Lane Outdoors. It's just Russ Lane 23 and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Are you going to be doing anything during the opens to post more stuff on that? I know you've been posting stuff, but like, we're talking deer, a lot of deer on here recently.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, so I'm not setting out to be a YouTuber. It's just when I come up, with something that I think I should put on there, then I'm going to put it on there. I'm not trying to, there's an algorithm aspect of that. You got to post a certain amount, and then you got to push and push and push on your social pages to drive traffic there to grow a bunch of subscribers. Like, I'm not really worried about that. I just want to put the good stuff over there so that somebody can find it if they ever, if they ever want to look for it. And, I'll try to, I'm going to try to do some stuff with Do It Molds. I'm doing a lot with them now, because I mean, I've been a tinkerer for years, and I'm going to try to put some of that stuff on there and show you guys how I custom, like, different types of jigs and baits and stuff, because, I enjoy doing that. And then the hunts, if I get a cool hunt film, I'm going to throw it up on there. But yeah, so it's never going to be a push for thousands of subscribers, but but I'm going to try to keep good content over there when I can.
How jacked are you that you're in the hunt now for your 8th Classic? Like, is that something you hear guys say that? You hear some guys say that it doesn't matter. Is that something that as a professional angler, you truly miss it? And the years that you're not competing and don't have a chance, are you looking at that Classic going, damn, or is it out of sight, out of mind, not important?
Yeah, it's important. I want to fish a few more Classics. I miss that, man. That's, not that Redcrest isn't a big deal, because it is.
Hasn't been here 50 years.
Right. I mean, there's just something like there's a line in the movie Moneyball about, who says, baseball's not romantic. Well, that's like the Classic is that way to me and most people. That's like, if you want to win one tournament, if you could pick it, you would pick the Bassmasters Classic. And if anybody told you different, they're probably lying to themselves. So yeah, I would give anything to win a dang Classic before I'm done with this. I would be one of the last ones somebody would expect to pull that off, but hey, it's possible.
I mean, dude, you were in it in 2010.
I know. And then on Hartwell, the one that Jordan won, a lot of people don't know this, but I lost 2 fish that last day, and I've done the math a million times in my head, and golly, I would have liked to landed them. Yep, I would have been right there. It was crazy that day.
Here we go.
I lost like 2 6-pounders that day.
Oh, what'd you have on the last day?
Like 13, I think.
And did you have 2 dinks?
I remember I had 2 decent ones, like a 5 and a 4 maybe, or 5 and 3.5.
Yeah, 13, 14. What were your 2 smallest?
Man, I don't remember. They were probably pretty small.
2-pounders.
What the deal was is that day, I think I figured out what Jordan figured out, but I was up river a little ways in dirtier water, And the biggest one I caught that day, I saw it sunning under a float, and I skipped a big bite yo mama under there. Got it. All right. Well, I catch him, and then there was another one that I saw, a huge bass, and skipped it under there, and it was like kapoosh, he blew up on it before it even started to sink. It was like a swimming jig, frog bite or something. And I set the hook, and I'll never forget, my line, the bait was in his mouth, and the line was wrapped around his pec fin. So I was reeling him in sideways, and I was thinking, is he foul hooked? And then I see the line like pop off that pec fin, and then the bait just comes out of his mouth. So I never got a good hook in him. And then there was another one later in the day that I set the hook on. I didn't see it, and he come up and jumped and threw it out. I was like, what? Like, it was just, stuff like that happens. Yeah. But I had the fish on to be right there to win that one. And then I lost a 5-pounder that I had foul hooked in the Classic on lay the second day. And I only had 4 fish that day, I think. I'm pretty sure I only had 4. And then what hurt is seeing Kevin reel in 2 foul hook fish. And he wins.
That was right in the heyday when Kevin was literally.
Oh God!
I've never really understood the intimidating thing, because I started covering this thing in full time in 2007. So he was like right in the prime there. So I was just like, oh yeah, there's this guy, and everybody's scared of him, and they go out on the water and they know that he's going to beat him, but it's like really close for second. And then kind of after that 4 or 5 year deal, I mean, he was still dominant, but there's never. I mean, people know that they're probably no one's been scared or intimidated of an angler like that 5 or 6 year stretch when Kevin, like, would you would go out on the water and know that he was about to throttle you.
Yeah. Like, so that was kind of like probably the best part of my career too. And it was all that, cranking that we did. Like, we would have all them tournaments on the Tennessee River, and I would have like 1 or 2 schools found, and I would catch them, and I got several top 10s, top 20s doing that. But Kevin, somehow he covered so much water so fast that it seemed like he never ran out of schools. It was just, I don't know, man. He could find them on the fly is better than anybody I've ever seen. He's still unreal, of course, but back then it was insane.
Have you listened to the Mercer podcast where he talks about how he would manage crowds during that time?
No, I'd like to see that, but
you need to watch it. It's crazy. He talked about one where I think he had 6 schools, and he knew that he could only go to one each day, because if he went to them, they'd be mutilated. So he had to manage his fish. So like on the 3rd day, he had a school he wanted to save to the last day, and he ran his gallery like 60 miles to a spot he had never fished. Knew that on the way back he would pass the spot that he wanted to fish. Stayed there, didn't catch crap, waited till all the gallery was gone, and then went and caught 26 pounds in 15 minutes on the way back in, so he could still have that spot on the 4th day.
100%. Like I seen him do stuff like that on the water. Like, I seen him run galleries by competitors. He pulled a gallery by me on that one at Lake Jordan that I barely won, and
intentionally.
Yeah, I mean,
allegedly
he apologized, but he did. I mean, but
with a wink. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Big Daddy. Sorry about that. There.
Yep.
Didn't mean to blow your stuff out. Those galleries. They like to follow me.
Yeah, that's another thing that was so incredible about how he dominated, because he had so many more distractions or variables to deal with than the rest of us did. Like, he had, gosh, man, fishing was a big deal back then. Like, he had the most unbelievable size galleries everywhere we went, following him around. And I mean, he used it. He figured out a way to use it to his advantage a lot of times. and then always had a camera in his face, and just tons and tons of outside pressure, but he managed it like a champ, man.
All right. Well, you're one of about a dozen guys with a lot of accolades and a lot of classics under their belt that are fishing the opens. A lot of guys are going to be looking forward to watching you following the opens. Cool what Bass is doing. I like that they, adjusted the payout, dropped it down a little bit more, $5,000. You're at least making a little bit of coin on this thing.
Right.
Keep the winning you're in. I like that. That keeps you active, engaged, a chance to go for it. And then the FS1 coverage for every event for all 9. Very excited to see how that goes. A tip of the cap to Hank and the guys who I know work tirelessly to really kind of make these opens a legitimate platform for established guys like Cliff Pace and Cody Meyer and you, Russ, to come over and still feel like you're getting some bang for your buck. So
that's right. Yeah. And Randall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you can't forget about Randall. I'm sure he'll remind us that he's at the opens here in about 8 or 9 days on Okeechobee.
Yeah, on Okeechobee. I know it. I looked at the roster. It's another stacked field, man.
And that's before eBear came over.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Anything else you want to get in here? I appreciate the time. I appreciate you making time for it, and really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, man. Same here. Good to talk to you. It's been a while. So yeah, enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you on the water next week.
I'll see you down in Clewiston at the Beef O'Brady's.
Okay. All right. Then we'll finish up at the Tiki Bar.
Sounds like a lovely plan, Russ.
That does. All right, man.
All right. See you.
All right. Later, dude.
All right. There you go, Russ Lane. Man, there's some good memory. There's some good stories that you don't get to hear. So, like I said, we're currently practicing right now. Tournament kicks off on Thursday. So we'll be back with another recorded show tomorrow on BTL. Until then, I think that's all we got for today. Talk to everybody tomorrow. See ya.